What's up, APS Squad? We're here today to bring you the top 5 decks making waves in the game right now.
These decks are based off of the TCG Player deck archive, actually. So normally you guys say like, oh, I like that you talk about these decks, but where can I find a deck list?
Sadly, we don't build like that.
So this time we're actually going to link all the decks that we're talking about in the description. These are all decks that have topped regionals lately.
ARGs.
Yeah, different events, so you know, it's not just BS. These are definitely real decks. So yeah, I'll get started with the first one, and it's Cyber Dragons.
Cyber Dragons. So they got a new round of support recently.
Yeah, they got new cards in Cybernetic Horizon, and actually, I think 1 or 2 new cards in Battles of Legend Relentless Revenge as well.
That is correct.
It was Cyber Rev system. But, yeah, so we have a couple of new cards. We've got Cyber Rev System, Cyber Emergency.
They got Hertz and Zeger.
Zeger? Someone in the comments will know how to pronounce it.
Fair enough.
It's the new Link monster, but Cyber Dragons are noticeably more consistent now. I find that the deck, it used to be kind of like a niche OTK thing, right?
Very. That was all it really did.
But now I feel like the deck kind of has the ability to play offense and defense. You can use like Zeger and just boost your monsters and like swing over things really easily.
Classic.
But you can also make like Cyber Dragon Infinity and kind of make a more defensible board too.
True that. Not to mention you can even utilize Mega Fleet Cyber Dragon. Was it Cyber Dragon Mega Fleet or Mega
Chimeratech
Fleet? Chimeratech Mega Fleet Dragon to go ahead and fuse off your opponent's monster in their extra monster zone to, well, just get rid of whatever you want.
Yeah, it's great because, you know, it doesn't destroy, it just kind of sends the monsters to the grave, and that's a really good way to deal with extra linking.
Yeah, break your
heart. You know, whenever you're extra linked, and also just any troublesome monster that happens to be there. It's really cool, and this deck, I think what's cool about it as well is that it can work pure. You know, you can run a pure Cyber Dragon deck. In fact, there are pure Cyber Dragon decks that have topped regionals. I was looking at a list right before I made this. I mean, it exists.
You can even tech in the Sky Striker engine.
Yeah, so, you know, if you have engages and you're looking for something to do with
you know, if you just happen to have 3 copies specifically.
You know, you can use that and Hornet Drones, and it lets you make Kagari, and it makes making Cyber Dragon Zeger
so
much easier, because Zeger takes 2 machines and one of them has to be Cyber Dragon, but thankfully Kagari is a machine.
Oh my god.
And if you also happen to just have a Summon Sorceress lying around, you can even use that too, to extend plays.
So it's not the most budget deck in the world, but it is cheaper than a lot of the other decks.
The rest of the decks on this list do get cheaper.
Significantly.
Starting with deck number 2.
Crusadia.
Yeah. So, I didn't expect this to be like a big deck, but like it has been.
I didn't know. I should have known when I saw that artwork. To me, like Crusadia was always that deck with good artwork, but I had no expectations for it.
So a quick intro to Crusadia, how they work. The monsters can special summon themselves from the hand to a zone that a Link monster points to. The deck has 3 different Link monsters, and all their Link monsters, among other effects, gain attack equal to what they're pointing to. So your small Crusadia monsters in the main deck are going to be powering up your Link monsters. Effectively, this just functions as a Protect the Tower deck. You're trying to make Crusadia Equimax.
That's their boss monster.
Yeah, it's got the Decode Talker arrows, so it gains attack for every single thing it points to.
What's cool is you don't have to wait for your opponent to summon something to that other zone to get that more boost. You can use Kaiju. Go ahead and just tribute one of your monsters off, place that Kaiju right there.
Yeah, and you can tribute off the most troublesome thing you want. That could be, you know, whatever their negator, the Tri-Gate Wizard, the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, the Norito.
Any problem monster.
Yeah, and you get to put the Kaiju where you want your Equimax to point to, and then you can like have it point to 3 things, has like 8,000 attack.
Because like Kaiju are pretty beefy monsters.
Yeah, if you're using like the really large ones, you know, like the 30, like, what is it, Dogeron, like there's another one. If you use those, you can get a lot of attack points. But it doesn't stop there, because the Crusadia deck is actually really good at protecting its boss monsters with Crusadia Power. You can make it unaffected by everything. You can use the Crusadia Field Spell, I forget the name of it, and it actually lets your Crusadia boss monster attack all of your opponent's monsters.
Oh my gosh. And with that,
really
that
strong
amount of attack, oh, whew.
Yeah, this deck has been making waves. It has topped multiple regionals now. You can find deck lists in the TCG Player deck list archetype. And yeah, so we'll have links to that in the description if you're interested.
It's crazy. It's a crazy deck. Your opponent won't know what you're playing.
And it's fairly budget too, so
true.
That's cool.
And our third deck?
Our third deck is gonna be Shiranui.
That's right, Shaman King.
Yeah, I didn't This deck is like an older kind of ish zombie thing, right?
It's considered older now, and probably still the best of the zombie decks.
What do we need to know about Shiranui?
So Shiranui,
Resident zombie expert here.
I wouldn't call myself that. Everyone knows about Solitaire, right? He's the good Shiranui, but the way Shiranui play is they get banished and then they get effects. They're not necessarily amazing effects, but they're fairly consistent. Solitaire, they do float. Solitaire gives you an instant Omega, and in different hand combinations, you can get double Omegas, even under Master Rule 4.
So the deck works quite well with Mizuki, Gozuki, and what's interesting about this deck, when we were looking at the deck list that got, I want to say, the top 32 at an ARG Invitational, it actually was just a pure Shiranui deck.
Yeah, nothing special, guys. You don't have to go to the store on this. If you have Shiranui...
no Sky Striker engine, no, nothing like crazy and expensive, really. But the kind of unique thing about it actually was a trap lineup.
Yeah, it actually went heavy trap. 3 Phoenix Winds.
Phoenix Wind Blast, and 3 Shiranui Swallow Slash. Yeah, I forget the name of the traps. So I think by using this, the strategy seems to be more of a use the spot removal traps as like just disruption and removal so that your opponent can never really get their plays going.
Because like if kind of classic Shiranui was like a control rushdown strategy or a control beatdown strategy, this would be more of like a stun.
Yeah, it feels like it's stunned. It feels like it kind of grinded out more, and using things like Omega while grinding your opponent with these kinds of traps, I think would get pretty oppressive.
Another cool thing is usually Shiranui builds had to run Gold Sock because it was just a consistency generator. They got effects when they're banished, but it was kind of a one and done card. This build actually opted not to run it, and it did run 2 Gozuki, who is newer for this deck. Shiranui fell out of popularity by the time Gozuki came out, but Gozuki brings combos and consistency to the deck that I think it fills Gold Sock's role just fine.
Yeah, and similar actually to Shiranui is Ritual Beast. So
Beast.
This is odd, but a Ritual Beast deck actually got top 8 at a regional very recently. I want to say it was in Houston, Texas. And so Ritual Beasts, it's another deck that's quite old, right? It's kind of from 2015.
The things you know about it really are just Ulti Canahawk and Steeds.
Right, yeah, most people see it as like, oh, it's that annoying deck that kept looping Canahawk. And then Canahawk got limited and the deck must be dead. But it's actually gotten recent support. It got Spiritual Beast Tamer Winda, and another new spell, actually, they both came in the same set. I want to say that was last year's like Raging Tempest. And so, this deck also was just pure, right?
Yeah, there wasn't anything. There really wasn't anything groundbreaking in it, except for the trap lineup.
Yeah, the trap, like with the Shiranui deck, the trap lineup was kind of the defining factor here. This Ritual Beast player chose to go with not just Steeds, which is the infamous Ritual Beast trap,
but Torrential Tribute.
Yeah, triple Torrential Tribute and triple Gozen Match, a card that is a very powerful floodgate.
A classic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, both of them are.
These seem like it was kind of meant to just wipe the opponent's board clean.
I mean, whenever you could.
Very, very constantly. And Ritual Beast also already played Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos. So if one of those happens to be on the field when these like board wipes happen,
your cards are gone.
Your cards are just gone forever, and that's brutal. They could always just make, I think, Ulti Pedalfin. He's indestructible by like card effects, so that would make him safe from Torrential. If I'm remembering that correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I see how kind of this works. And then outside of that, Ritual Beasts can just grind.
Yeah, they're one of the best grind decks in the game. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely really cool. And if you want to check out the deck list, like we said, links in the description.
But a quick note about these last 2 decks, Shiranui and Ritual Beast. This wasn't just, I have this deck in my closet, I'm going to take it out and bring it with me. To pilot these decks and to do so well in tournament, that means these guys had to do intense testing against, they had to test with their deck and especially against other decks. They probably had to play other meta decks because they had to know how these top tier decks, how these Gokis, how these Trick Stars and
Sky Strikers,
you had to know how they played because you had to get the most you can out of these powerful traps, which are good. But if you don't know what your opponent's playing, you're not going to see those types of results.
The last deck is Mermails. So this isn't just on here because it's one of my favorite decks. It actually has managed to top at regionals as well. It was in the TCG Player deck archive, so I figured I would cover it. Mermails are kind of a more known quantity, right?
Yeah, one of the more expensive decks in the game.
Yeah, at least until recently, which kind of reprinted Megalo, Teus, Lead, all got reprinted in Shadows and Valhalla, so that's a good thing, makes this deck a little easier to get. Mermails are a very destructive deck. They excel at going second, and I think that's actually probably, in addition to all the other strengths Mermails have, probably one of their biggest assets right now.
Yeah, in this metagame, everybody wants to go first, and it's been like that for a while.
Yeah, Gokis want to go first and extra link you, Trickstars want to go first and just set up so you get burn damage on everything. You know, Alter guys want to get their traps set. And oftentimes it's just going to come down to either dealing with an unbreakable board or just a really annoying like cards you have to play around. Mermails do a good job though.
They excel at that, actually.
At actually breaking boards. It's a great deck for going second. You can kind of always guarantee that you will go second.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I've played against Paul's Mermails quite a few times, and I've made some pretty terrifying boards and watched him pick it apart piece by piece.
Yeah, Mermails are great at that because obviously the Atlantean monsters, you know, you can just choose chain orders and their effects, so you can start popping things your opponent can't necessarily respond to it. It's great, and then you can OTK them or just deal heavy damage. Mermails can make use of Nightmares. Mermails can make use of like hand loops with Mulan Glacia and Omega. Mermails also can use cards like Totally Awesome. It's a really versatile deck, and even though it's not without its weaknesses, I think that you can definitely tell where it was successful here. It's just that going second power, I think.
Yeah, that's really true.
So those are the decks.
Yep, those are our top 5 decks making waves. I think that's funny. We just mentioned Mermails and their water.
Yeah.
Waves. Okay.
We have
whatever.
jokes. In phase. A couple of things to remind you guys of. If you want to check out these decks, I will repeat one more time. In the description, you can find them all in the TCG Player deck list archive. Also,
we have a sale going down right now with inked playmats.
Yeah, use the code APS10 and get 10% off any custom playmat on inkedgaming.com.
Also in the description.
And of course, if you want to buy any of the cards for these decks, TCG Player would be a great place to do it. And you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter.
You know, Tumblr. Are we on Tumblr? We're not on Tumblr.
Not yet. So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up.
If you have any thoughts on other decks making waves, or maybe your thoughts on these decks specifically, go ahead and drop that in the comments.
Yes, and of course, if you aren't already, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you.
Hit the bell icon, join the squad.
It's going to be it. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.